Welcome to week 3 of Explore the Bible. We're continuing in the book of Job. Great chapter. We're seeing this kind of progression that's happening. Job's friends keep coming back and keep telling him how terrible he is, how he really needs to examine his own life and find the sin and all of that. And Job keeps refusing that. And we'll see today there's been progress for Job spiritually, and his faith it gets expressed as we see that. We see some growth that happens in his own life as he kind of looks at what's going on, and even maybe as he talks to his friends. So let's look. We're in chapter 19 today, chapter 19 of the book of Job. All right. He says, "All of my best friends despise me, and those I love have turned against me. My skin and my flesh cling to my bones. I have escaped with only the skin of my teeth. Have mercy on me, my friends. Have mercy, for God's hand has struck me. Why do you persecute me as God does? Will you never get enough of my flesh?" Just quick, there's the skin of my teeth. That's a phrase that I've heard and said all along there. It comes out of Job, chapter 19. And this is how we know they're his friends. Why? I guess maybe why we call them his friends. He says, "You're my best friends, but it's like you hate me. You've turned against me." He says, "All I've got is skin and bones, man." Job is really suffering. He's got boils. He's got all kinds of problems now, right? He says, "All I've got is just the skin of my teeth. I'm just barely getting through this. Have some mercy on me, friends. Have mercy on me. For God's hand has struck me." I mean, he doesn't know, right? To Satan. And even he could say that in the sense that God took his hand off and allowed Satan. So in a sense, God was doing this, but really it was Satan doing it. Right? But that's all he knows, right? So why do you persecute me? Will you never get enough of my flesh? In essence, to say, look, why do you keep making it so hard? Why don't you have some mercy on me? Why don't you be gracious, help me get through this instead of just telling me how wrong and it's all my fault that it happened. There's maybe a quick lesson here in how we talk to people who are going through crisis, and someone who's lost someone who has had great sorrow come into their life, and maybe the truth is that we should not be concerned about how we talk to them. I mean, you ever had that expression where I don't know, why would I go see them? I mean, what would I say? Well, the answer is you don't say anything. Don't say anything. And his friends would have been a whole lot better for him if they'd have just shut their mouths, right? They'd have been a lot better off if they'd have just kept quiet and just sat with him and just be with him. And that's often the best thing, that what a friend needs in that time is not your wisdom. They need your presence. Okay? Just your presence. To be a stand-in for the presence of God, and not try to give them your wisdom about what's going on or how they ought to feel about it or what they ought to do next or all that. There's a time and a place for that, but we need to be real judicious in how we give that out, and be more focused on just being there and sitting with and mourning with, grieving with, and not saying, I've got to help you. I'm going to help you understand the truth of this. I really need to help you understand what God's doing in your life right now. No. For one, they're probably not going to listen anyway because they're not ready to listen. Secondly, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to know that. They just need somebody to be with them. And he's like, would you just have some mercy on me? Stop taking another pound of my flesh, man. Stop, laying into me, telling me everything I'm doing wrong, and just be here. Just be here. Okay? Then Job says this, "But I know that my Redeemer lives." It sounds like a song. That would be a good song title. "And at the end, he will stand on the dust. Even after my skin has been destroyed, yet I will see God in my flesh. I will see him myself. My eyes will look at him, and not as a stranger. My heart longs within me." Job has this, remember we looked at last week, right? I don't know, man. Is there life? He says, I know my Redeemer lives. I know he lives. Right? And at the end, he will be standing. Everything else will turn to dust. He will not. He will still be standing. In the end, I know God is in control, that God will be there, that he is the one who lasts beyond all of this, even after my skin has been destroyed, which is basically all I got left is just my skin. It's all I got. Even when that's gone, I will see God in my flesh. He will redeem my life. He is my Redeemer. That he takes whatever is terrible and horrible and he brings good out of it. He finds victory in it. That's what a Redeemer does. He redeems it. He takes the worst things that have happened and somehow he turns them into good things. And Job is looking at, I've lost my family, I've lost all my possessions, I've lost everything, but I know God will redeem this. He will redeem this somehow. He'll bring some good out of it. And look at us now. We're reading about Job's life, and we're learning truths about God and about ourselves and about life and about eternity and about faith. We're learning these truths because of what Job went through. God has redeemed Job's experience. He's brought good out of it, right? He says, I will see God in my flesh. I will see him myself. My eyes will look at him, and not as a stranger. You see this? I will see God in my flesh. I will see him myself. My eyes will look at him. 3 times he emphasizes this. I am going to see God. I will see him as, face to face, in flesh. And I love this. And not as a stranger. Listen, I believe everybody at some point is going to see God. The question is not, will you see God? The question is, when you see God, will you be his friend or will you be a stranger? Will you be one who knows him and is known by him? Will you be one who is excited and looking forward to that day? Or will you be one that he looks at and says, depart from me, I never knew you. You are a stranger. Is that who you'll be? Every person will see God. There will be a point where he will look every person face to face and he will either say, welcome, or depart. I never knew you. One of those will happen. And Job says, I know I will see him, and I won't see him as a stranger. I won't see him as one who's never known him. I'll know him and he'll know me. He's my friend, right? My heart longs within me. My heart longs within me. Job's struggle is not whether or not God exists. His struggle is getting through this to get to God. That's the hard part. If I can just get through this life until I can see the Lord, that's my soul, my heart longs within me to see him. That's my challenge. If you say, how will we pursue him? Since the root of the problem lies with him, then be afraid of the sword, because wrath brings punishment by the sword, so that you may know there is a judgment. Listen, if you think God's the problem, judgment's coming. Wrath brings punishment, and you may know there is a judgment. Judgment is coming. Everybody will see God. At some point, everybody's going to see him. Will you be a friend or will you be a stranger? And if you say, well, how do you know God? You can't really know God. You need to know judgment's coming. There's judgment coming. Punishment by the sword. Death. Separation. Eternal separation that's coming. Job didn't know a lot, right? In the development of Christian theology, Job is very early on in that historical timeline. But Job knew this: the Lord will redeem his trouble. The Lord will redeem his life. The Lord will keep his promises. The Lord will be faithful to the end, and that one day he will see the Lord and he will be known by him. He is not going to be a stranger when he sees him face to face. He will see him and be happy about it. There is his friend redeeming his life, and he knows that those who don't follow the Lord, they will find judgment. There will be judgment. Well, he didn't know a lot, and his hope, as we saw last week, it was dim, right? It was barely there, but he had hope, and you see it's growing, right? And this confidence in God is growing, and his certainty about the Lord is growing. So we're thankful for that. Well, I hope that helps as you study this week. It was kind of short maybe today, but God bless you as you study, and subscribe to our channel, like it, share it, comment on it. Let us know how God's teaching you. You got questions, write your questions in the comments and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.